The hook, the mystery, the restaurant. There are moments when a restaurant goes silent not because something went wrong, but because something impossible just happened. That was the night the billionaire CEO William Harrow stood frozen beside table 9, his mouth half open, every employee staring as a poor waiter named Daniel Rivers signed something to William's deaf mother, something he should have never known, something only one person on earth had ever told her. It wasn't simply sign language. It was her sign language. Her private family dialect. And the moment it left Daniel's hands, William's mother gasped as if she'd just seen a ghost, and the truth that would later blow the world apart began unraveling. Before I reveal what Daniel signed, and why it shook the wealthy CEO to his core, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the Kindness Chronicles so you don't miss stories like this. Now, let's rewind. The Harborview Steakhouse in Portland wasn't the kind of place someone like Daniel usually worked. The customers wore tailored suits and timepieces worth more than the trailer he lived in. He'd taken the job because tips, even on a slow night, could mean the difference between paying rent and sleeping in his beat-up Honda. But Daniel had something the others didn't. A patience that felt carved out of quiet storms. An instinct for reading people. And, though no one knew, sign language skills learned in childhood under circumstances he never talked about. On that particular Thursday night, the restaurant buzzed with whispered excitement. William Harrow, CEO of Harrow Technologies, had booked a private table, rare for him. He arrived wearing a charcoal coat and a look that dared the world to get out of his way. At his side was a softly smiling older woman with bright, alert eyes. Her white hair was pinned neatly, her hands folded in front of her. "Mrs. Harrow," the maitre d' whispered. "A pleasure." She didn't respond, but she gave a warm nod. Everyone knew William's mother was deaf. Everyone knew she was private. And everyone knew not to do anything that might irritate the man who could buy the entire block for fun. Daniel was assigned to their table only because another server panicked and pretended to be sick. When his name was called, he felt that familiar tightening in his chest, the sense that life had just handed him a test he hadn't studied for. He approached the VIP booth carefully. "Good evening," he said, voice steady. "My name is..." Mrs. Harrow lifted her eyes, studying his lips with polite focus. Daniel recognized the familiar patterns instantly, the tiny delays as her mind pieced words together, the slight tension around the jaw. He'd seen it all before, in the mirror of his childhood. He signed a simple, gentle greeting. Her reaction was immediate, delight and surprise flickering across her face. She signed back gracefully. "You sign beautifully. Who taught you?" Daniel hesitated. He hadn't used his hands like this in years. He thought they'd forgotten the shapes. He signed softly, "Someone I lost." William's head snapped around. "You, sign?" There was irritation in his voice, an uninvited overlap into his carefully controlled world. "I learned young," Daniel said aloud, switching back from signing. "If it helps your mother enjoy her evening." But something strange happened then. Mrs. Harrow reached forward and touched Daniel's hand, lightly but urgently. She signed again. And Daniel, almost reflexively, responded using a very old, very unusual sign, one tiny gesture that didn't exist in any standard dictionary. A gesture used by exactly two people he'd known in childhood. One was his mother. The other was... "Stop." William's voice came sharp, cutting through the room. He stared at the last sign Daniel made, as if it hit him like a memory he had spent decades locking away. The restaurant fell silent. "How?" William said slowly, the words trembling with something Daniel couldn't identify. "Do you know that?" Daniel stood frozen. Mrs. Harrow covered her mouth. A couple at the next booth whispered. Something very old, very buried, had just clawed its way into the open. And it was only going to get more complicated. The rest of the meal teetered on the line between polite and explosive. William watched the interaction between Daniel and his mother with guarded intensity, as though each sign was a threat to his identity. When dinner ended, Mrs. Harrow insisted on thanking Daniel again. She signed, "You made tonight beautiful. You gave me back a language I thought I'd lost." She pressed a folded tip into his palm, far too large. Daniel tried to decline, but she placed her hand over his heart, insisting. As they left, William paused and looked back at Daniel. There was something like fear in the CEO's eyes. Or maybe shock. Or maybe recognition. He didn't say a word. But the storm had already started. And Daniel had no idea that by the next night, everything in his life, from his past to his own identity, would be ripped apart and rewoven into a truth he never expected. The revelation, the confrontation, the truth. The following evening, Daniel showed up for his shift early. Something in him couldn't let go of what happened. That private sign, the one only his mother used. The one tied to a childhood that vanished the night she died. He hadn't slept. He couldn't. He kept replaying the expression on Mrs. Harrow's face, the way her hands trembled when he returned the gesture. And that look William gave him, the look of someone staring at a ghost. The dinner rush had barely begun when the maitre d' rushed toward him. "Daniel, Mr. Harrow is here. He asked for you." Daniel felt his stomach twist. In the private dining room, William Harrow sat alone. No mother. No entourage. No press. Just a glass of untouched water and an envelope resting beside it. "Close the door," William said. Daniel obeyed. The CEO studied him for several seconds, then sighed. "My mother didn't sleep last night. She said you signed something she hasn't seen since." His jaw tightened. "Since before my adoption." Adoption. The word slid into Daniel's ears like ice. William continued. "My mother lost her first child in a car crash 23 years ago. The child was presumed dead." His eyes flicked up. "She had a private signing habit, little family gestures. No one else knew them. No one alive." Daniel felt his knees weaken. He tried to steady his voice. What was the child's name?" William opened the envelope and slid out a photograph, faded, creased, old enough to smell like another lifetime. A toddler. Dark-haired. Bright-eyed. Hands mid-sign of the same gesture Daniel made. "My older brother," William said softly. "Caleb." Daniel staggered back. That name. That picture. The world tilted until the lights blurred. His mother, his real mother, had called him Caleb until the night of the crash. Daniel remembered running, crying, flames, his mother's scream, and then, waking in a hospital with no family to claim him, placed into the system, renamed by foster parents who tried but failed to keep him. "I don't understand," Daniel whispered, shaking. I was told I was abandoned." William's expression softened in a way that seemed foreign on his stern face. "You weren't abandoned," he said. "Our birth mother survived, but barely. She searched for you for years before my father convinced her that you had died. It nearly destroyed her. She closed off from society. I was adopted later, when she couldn't recover." Daniel's throat closed. His hands trembled with instinctive signing, broken signs, confused grief. Why didn't she tell me last night?" he choked. William swallowed. "Because she wasn't sure. She was afraid of resurrecting a hope that already ruined her once." He slid another paper across the table, hospital reports, dates, photos, all pointing to one truth. "You're her son," William said. "And my brother." The words hung between them, heavy and unreal. Daniel sank into a chair. He remembered being small, hands learning quiet shapes under a warm glow. He remembered lullabies hummed without sound. He remembered a gesture his mother made to say I'm here, I'm here, I'm here.